Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Sagittarius. The Sagittarius is your solar, lunar, ascendant/rising sign. Then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. And so our card tonight is the Hierophant. However you like to say. And let's see what these tea leaves have to say to us tonight. Let's see. All right. And so if you have not subscribed, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell icon thing. It'll let you know when the next videos are coming out, and it is free to subscribe. I don't want you missing any of your videos. Okay, so immediately I'm seeing we have the face of an animal. I thought, okay, this looks like a fox, but I don't think so. I think maybe this is a deer. Okay, and it looks like maybe a doe. And you can see the eyes, the nose, the outline of the face here. And I'm looking beneath it. We have a 4. It looks like 8, 4. So 84. Okay, so that seems important. That's very distinctive, those letters. And the face, very distinct. Okay, now interestingly, if we turn it this way, we do have another deer, or the same deer, in a running position here. Okay, you can see the body, the legs, the back legs, the front legs, the head. Okay, so the most sacred deer, and I'm not surprised to see this in relation to the Hierophant. And you know, the Hierophant, the Hierophant, I go between the two, right? This is the high priest. This is a holy person, somebody who has chosen a life dedicated to spiritual work, work within the mysteries, religious work, and so on. And so to be paired with this deer spirit seems very likely. It makes sense. The deer is a sacred symbol. It is a manifestation of spirit, as all things are, right? But we do have, collectively, we do have some animals that are more symbolic than others. And especially, I think, the deer, because there is such a grace to them. They are pretty stealth, not always, but most of the time. They are something, if you come in contact with them face to face, you're pretty lucky. First of all, you might be in danger depending on the size of the deer, the time of the year, and you know, is it aggressive or not. It might be that this is, you know, as Castaneda talks about, an experiment in what kind of spiritual archetype you are dwelling within at that time. A warrior, a healer, you know, some kind of shamanic person, being, you know, and many of the others, mother, father archetypes, and crone, and so on. I'm not going to list all the archetypes, but how we interact with this deer really does speak to our style of being in that time, right? So if you have the impulse to attack the deer, right, to dominate the deer, to hunt the deer, yeah, you might be kind of this If you think of maybe Diana, Artemis, a warrioress, huntress, lunar, deity, archetype, intelligence, or maybe you shy away from, you want to observe from afar, you don't want to interact directly. Okay, so then the watcher, and so on. Okay, I'm not gonna, I won't bore you with all of that, but I look at this and it really tells me that you are in this part of your travel, the interior wanderings, right? And you are devoted to it. We have that high priest energy. This is one of being quite devout, following the rules, the tenets, the dogma, not being unmovable though, right? I think a lot of times people read it as, there's this really kind of rigid, immovable quality to the masculine religious figure. But, I look at it as somebody who tends the outward temple, right? The outer temple, the outward temple. The books, the texts, the treaties, and the rules, the regulations, and so on, and an initial initiator, and so on and so on and so on. So as I look at this, I think, you're at this place where you're deciding, how are you going to go about this path, this wandering, this next part of your life? What kind of spiritual work will you be doing? Will you be a healer? Will you be a clairvoyant? Will you be somebody who is being of service and a protector, a patron? Will you be the hermit? Will you, kind of seclude yourself to walk away from your earthly attachments and to focus on this spiritual ascension and evolution and so on? And I think that's important to you, obviously it would be if you're thinking about it. But, I also think that now we have this deer on the run. We also have another person behind the deer. Okay, we can see the deer kind of leaping here. We have another person beneath, following the deer, running. Okay. I feel like we have, this looks like a mountain to me, and a fish, maybe a lake, kind of a lake and a mountain. And I do feel like there's a sense of almost, well, have you ever heard of imposter syndrome? It's kind of this feeling that we all have, at least, a couple times in our life, where we feel like we're just like kind of faking what we're doing. We're not comfortable with it yet. You maybe have had a job where you don't know you've never done anything like this before. You don't even know how they hired you. But somehow, by the grace of God, they did. And here you are doing this work, and you feel like, people are experiencing you as somebody who knows what they're doing, who knows what they're talking about, who is competent in this, whatever it is that you are working on. But in your heart of hearts, you think, oh my goodness, I have no idea. I'm just making this up as I go along. I had this feeling a lot when I became a mom, right? I still do at times. I'm like, I can't believe that I'm a parent to somebody. I am, I grew a child. I have a child now to take care of. I don't feel like I know, what a mother even really is, and And sometimes, so yeah, we do have these feelings. And so I look at this and I feel like there's a sense of chasing the sacredness, trying to figure out maybe even like what your aesthetic is, or what system makes sense to you, what religion speaks to your heart, or, congregation, or, I don't know. I mean, but there's a sense of, and I'm not saying that you're fake. I'm not. Let me get to it. Don't get offended. But I do think there is a sense of not feeling fully confident yet. Okay. And I will say, I think that's perfectly normal. I think it's actually probably where we all should be to some degree, especially within our belief. I feel that at times, yes, we know. We just know. We feel it. We sense it. There is a deep feeling of like revelation and love. That love and the connection to that sense of something greater. But all of the other stuff, the details, the cosmology, the mythologies, the fine details, especially if they're historical details and all these kinds of things. At times, it can feel like, how do I trust all of this? And where do I fit into this? And if I have found a place that feels like a place, am I just wearing kind of, a costume? Am I playing a part? And I think that keeps us growing, to never feel like we know something completely. And, you might take issue with this. You might say, Lenor, I know who my God is. I know who my Savior is. I know, who my deities are. I know the work that I do is meaningful and all of these things. And I'm not saying that is, I believe that this is possible and this is good. And I think, a lot of us get into these places and it is a blessed place to be. But my point really is that if we didn't have times where we questioned some of the details of it, right? Some of the less important things that surround the core and most important aspect, right? Which is really that faith, that grace, that devotion, the love, right? Then I feel like we get into a fixed state. It becomes as if we turn to stone instead of being this, vibrant living thing that we are. And listen, our faith is a vibrant living thing as well. And it will grow and it will change and it will, be many things. And I look at this and you might, what kind of reading is this? I know I get some comments and people say, where is the, lottery numbers? Where is the promise of love? Well, listen, this is winning the lottery. When you find a moment of even just a fraction of a second of divinity in your life, you've hit the jackpot. If you are so blessed and privileged to find yourself having the time, energy, willpower, interest in knowing something bigger than yourself, and not only that, but living devoted to it, chasing after it, trying to understand it, trying to catch a glimpse of that spark, right? That awe, that agape, that love, that love, that love. This is the biggest blessing, the greatest fortune that we could ever ask for. This is the lottery that, it is. And so I know, sometimes we just want to hear about the more specific things, but I'll tell you what, I think that there just really is this time right now, this uncertainty in the world. We are collectively in places of crisis, existentially and, socially. And I think that in these times there are heightened moments of the divine showing up. I also think there is, in the chaos of it all, clarity about what truly is important. Where will we put our efforts? Now, we also have a fish right here. We have a fish right here. We have this mountain in the lake. And, ooh, no buns on the screen there, miss. Here, why don't you let me hold you? And so when we talk about the fish are abundance of resources. So I think that, through not only this work that you're doing, I also think that this is paired and balanced with the work of your physical mundane life, okay? How you make resources, keeping your domestic world together. There is a lot there, okay? A lot to work with, so, and a lot, I'm not saying, what is the duck that swims in the coins? Scrooge McDuck. I'm not saying it's like Scrooge McDuck money, right? But enough, right? Keeping the lights on. Having food to eat. Hopefully not stressing every moment of every day, but there's a lot, there's enough to sustain. And I think that you have found a place where you can, get into, in the lake. The lake is a place of reflection. It is a small, small reflection of the greater unconscious, right? We have the ocean. I talk about the dark ocean a lot. This is that kind of ocean that we swim in and collect fragments of the unconscious. Well, the lake is not dissimilar. This is the micro version, right? But this is also where we go to gain our inspirations, to find some clarity. I've been thinking a lot about just the art of contemplation, of going and thinking, having topics that you want to kind of mull over. I know our lives are busy. I know that you probably work a lot. I know that you take care of your family. I know that you're trying to take care of yourself, probably a home, involved in your community in some capacity. You might be post-work in retirement, but the work never stops, really, right? It just looks different. So, I know we're all busy, but I think that it's so important. And I think in this time in our lives, it is so important for us to take moments where we can kind of dismiss ourselves from the mix of things, the socializing and the dramas and ordeals, and have a quiet moment to think. Some of the ones that are popular to kind of talk about are things like gratitude. Gratitude is one of the great healers of life. It's one of the things it really does. It kind of, it smooths out a lot of the things, the wants, the worries, the resentments we have, but other things as well, things about our faith, about our, belief systems, about, whatever it is. One thing I like to really think, well, it's not just one thing, it's many things. I like to listen to music and ponder the music. I like to look at artwork, contemplate it, think about it, break it down as if I were in some kind of, art school, some kind of critic or critiquing process in art school, studying art histories and things. But it's an exercise for the mind. Okay. And I think it's important for us to spend more time with critical thinking. Okay. Finding connections, developing deeper relationships with many topics, not, it doesn't have to be any certain thing. It doesn't have to be spiritual overtly. It doesn't have to be religious overtly. But it all becomes so interconnected. And so, this is one of the big gifts you can give yourself, I think, is just allotting yourself some time to think about things outside of your direct life, and maybe hopefully outside of pop culture. I love pop culture too, don't get me wrong. I watch a lot of the little, reality shows and these kinds of things. And, I'm up on some of the drama within the subcultures I like. But, I think it's important for us to look at other areas as well. And I know that's a lot of homework. Lenor, I didn't come here for homework, but you always get some, at least some kind, a little bit of advice or recommendations, maybe. Okay, so we have the 3, and I keep looking at this one up here. What is this? Oh, it looks like a little fox. Look at with the eyes and the nose. You can see the little body. So, it leads me to believe there really is kind of a little sly fox around. Also, look, we have a fox right here. This one's kind of standing though, with its head and its little ears. And look, another one. It's riding on top of this one. Here's the head, here's the body. So we have 3 fox, at least. I wonder, this kind of goes in a different direction a bit. I wonder if there are people that you work with that are kind of just on some BS. to put it a little crudely, but it seems like almost they kind of are out to get you a little bit. The fox, it's sneaky, trying to get in there where they can. So maybe trying to discredit you or get you ousted or whatever it is, but there seems to be an aura of cunning. Come on. I know, you should be in bed right now. I know. Why aren't you in bed with Poppy? So yeah, I think that's something but I think you're aware of it. I think you kind of like feel the vibe. And I almost wonder if you're like the boss, right? Like maybe you oversee people and it's just kind of like what comes along with being in a management position. People are like scheming, trying to, stir up some trouble for you. And so keep an eye on that. I don't know how serious it is, but we know what happens when the fox it gets into that hen house. Woo, and you get 3 of them together. My goodness. That could be bad. But you're good at taking care of yourself, Sagittarius. See, that's the thing about a Sagittarius is, I always think of like Sagittarius people as being so kind and kind of just will put up with people. Not like a pushover, but just like trying to be like turn the other cheek, just kind of easy going about things, like staying focused, not like letting people affect you. But like when you really come for a Sagittarius, you better watch out. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you better watch out. Because they're not going to put up with it. So yeah, I feel like there is that energy there. But I really feel like it's like you are doing all of this like daily stuff. You're doing the work, you're going to work, you're doing your, clocking in, clocking out. And then there is this vast, beautiful existence outside of that. And maybe within it, maybe you love your work. I don't know. But what is more important is the spiritual journey you're on. And I think that kind of colors everything else. And nobody doing anything is going to, like get you unsteady at this point. I think that you're really, really solid. And, your priority is the divine. And I think, how can you even really affect somebody like that? I mean, really on a deep level, I don't know, it's not going to be, it's not going to be some, people, little devils at work stirring things up. I don't think so. So, all good there. Just be mindful. Now, let's see, we have a little worm. Little worm. I like seeing the worms. The worms are my favorite, really. I like the mythology of the great worm. I like the conspiracies about the old alchemical imagery of the serpent really being the great worm. The great white worm. But I don't think it's like all of that. Because that's like, we get into some of those real strange stories. But I think with the worm, I think of it as the cleaner of the soils, right? We talk about often the Saturnine processes in alchemy, the Saturn, right? The melancholia. And this is those initial processes of taking, if you can imagine soil, right? And then soil's dirt, it has other stuff in it. It has the rocks and heavy metals and the lead. The lead is Saturn. And part of the beginning of that process is refining the soil so that it's clean and it's ready to be planted in. And so you're driving out those, the toxins and the poisons and these kind of corrosive things. And the worm for me is one of the elements not elements, but one of the symbols or archetypes, one of the tools and intelligences that push those impurities out. Okay. And so, I think that this is that deep work. This is that self-refinement. This is preparing yourself, going through that process of absolution, of cleansing, so that you may begin this next era of work. It's not just the next cycle. I mean, this is not just a chapter. This is a profound gateway into higher initiation. And we also have a buffalo right here. Okay, so the buffalo, the strong and slow to movement, or I also think of slow to anger because they will stomp right over you, trample you. And actually it's not actually a buffalo. It is the bison, American bison, but it is my totem as well. it is this slow moving. The bison, any of these large animals, the rhinoceros, the bison, the hippopotamus, anything that's really, large like this, there's such an expenditure of energy, calories, when they move. Okay, so the movement is slow. It is thought out. Okay, it's not, there's no just kind of going out for a stroll for whatever, no reason. It's about movement towards goals, movement towards necessities. And there's a thoughtfulness and a wisdom there. And so I think that this is that contemplative energy. This is thinking about how you do things, what you will do, what you won't do. And being careful about how you do, okay? And this is getting long, this reading, so here we go. Let's see. The Mary Magdalene Oracle cards. We're going to get into these. It is Megan Watterson, the creator. Illustrations by Moonjube. I know, some of my readings, I try to reel it in so it's like interesting to everyone, but sometimes I allot myself 1 or 2 readings every few days where it's like a little more esoteric, I guess. And so Sagittarius, I thank you for putting up with my musings a bit. All right, I'm gonna stop where it feels right. Okay, the 4th power. I am beloved. Yes, I am beloved. Oops, there goes the water thing. All right, I am beloved. And yes, you are. And this is why you do the work, right? You do the work, and it takes hold. And there is a sense of great devotion to that work. And that's what's important. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't have to resemble anybody else's path or faith or, practice or anything like this. But if it feels right to you, then it is right. Okay. And so with that, Sagittarius, I'll hurry up and say, thank you. I love you. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. If you would be so kind as to like the video, it helps the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It is free to subscribe. And if you want to leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. Okay. All right. Again, I love you. We'll talk in a few days. You're the best. Goodbye.